talking about the internet, how worried are you about how technology is impacting people's ability to focus?
Adult ADHD is clearly upon us. It's just clear. And so I'm very concerned.
You think that that's induced or facilitated or worsened by technology? Like, tell me what's going on in the brain. How's technology able to make such a dramatic change?
Yeah, I think let's turn it on its head. I'm not changing your question because I don't like it when people do that to me.
Answer what you want.
No, sometimes I'll ask you a question on my podcast and people will flip. They're like, I'm going to give you a different question. Answer that one. And I was like, okay, like I'm going to answer your question a different way. The circuits in the brain that are required for setting and maintaining focus are inhibited by the process of deliberately shifting one's focus over and over and over throughout the day. In other words, if ever there was a physical activity that could undermine your cardiovascular exercise, it turns out not to be the case, but there was this idea a few years ago that if you sit a lot during the day, it doesn't matter how much you exercise, it's not going to make a difference. That's not true, right? Exercise still helps. But we also know that moving and standing up and sitting down quite a lot throughout the day, getting as much, little walks and things like that is extremely beneficial and can amplify the already known positive effects of exercise. Okay. Well, when it comes to focus, much of what our schooling is about growing up is not just the content that we're taught, but our ability to sit still and pay attention, to keep the body still and to focus to some extent, keep the body still. Some people gesticulate more, the Italians and in certain Arab countries and things like that. And other people are far more still. And we get back to this about body stillness a little bit later because there's some emerging ideas on that are worth touching on. But the point is that if one is constantly moving their attention from one thing to the next, it undermines the stability of all the circuitry in the brain that's responsible for prolonged focus. Now, I partake in social media, so do you, but the scroll function is a practice of shifting focus while maintaining gaze in one location, right? Normally we would shift focus by looking here, by looking there. Try this for 30 minutes tomorrow. If folks listening to this, take 30 minutes of your day and decide that you're only going to exist in the three-dimensional world, meaning you're not going to look at screens for 30 minutes. Okay, obviously screens, your phone has a depth to it, but you know what I'm talking about. You'll notice that your attention is shifting all the time. You're looking at a brick wall, then there's this, and there's you, but it's all harnessed by some sort of conceptual goal or physical goal, trying to get here, finish a conversation, complete an answer to a question. That's all within a tunnel of motivation. When you're on your phone and scrolling, and I think scrolling itself is the major issue, when you're scrolling, you're essentially putting yourself into new context after new context after new context. And the brain has to adjust to all of that. And the way that the brain works, in addition to controlling heartbeat and autonomic function, et cetera, is, think about it, sort of I don't want to diss it, but I took my sister to see the Harry Potter play recently in New York. And while I wasn't a big fan of the script at all.
Was this the Half-Blood something? What was it called?
Yeah, it was the what is it? The Cursed Child.
Yeah. Me, Jordan Peterson, and Douglas Murray nearly got thrown out of that during COVID. I've got to tell you the story once you're done. It's one of the phenomenal thing that I saw. So you went to go and see it too.
My sister likes theater, and we go to New York each year for her birthday. And I took her to this show, and I wasn't a big fan of the script, to be honest. I only read one of the Harry Potter books, liked it, but then abandoned it. But she really likes the Harry Potter stories. I wasn't a fan of the script. That's just my uninformed opinion. But the effects were spectacular. Okay. And one of the things that occurred to me, they had this library there where the books are alive. And as I was watching this, I realized that that's very much how the brain works. That, for instance, when you walk into a room, it's a new context. And it would be the same as if you were walking through a library. And let's say you go to a soccer, European football game, and you sit down, and all of a sudden your brain calls up all these books about European soccer, and your favorite team is right there. And then you open that, and then all of a sudden you're looking at that, something about your favorite team. What's your favorite team? Newcastle. Okay. And then unbeknownst to you, this is the important part. The books all around you, not the one you're looking at, are now changing to the competitors and the history of that team, but also who's the directly antagonistic rival team.
Sunderland. Sunderland.
Okay,
Yeah,
Sunderland.
there it is, baby.
Okay. So that's the way the brain works. It's calling up context so that it makes it very easy to flit to a discussion about a particular rivalry in a particular year, in a particular match, in a particular point and player. That's focus. Focus is not about maintaining a single tunnel of cognition. Focus is about calling to mind all these additional contextually relevant batches of information that you might need. And, the reason I use the analogy of the Harry Potter library is that it's a dynamic library. So the moment we're done here and we walk out, yes, some of the books, so to speak, of this conversation will linger with us, but whatever we're focused on next, whatever goal-directed behavior we have, making it to dinner or through traffic or wherever we're going, will call up a new library. Now, some people might say, well, duh, of course it works that way, but it's not duh, because it's very dynamic. Now, social media is the opposite of that. It's one library. Next account, another library. Next account, another library. Next account, another library, another library, another library. And the brain is calling up all these different libraries in rapid succession. Wow.